Hello, this is Zahil Alam. Welcome you all on Frankly Speaking. My guest today is International Inner Wheel Global President Ms. Trish Douglas. International Inner Wheel is an organization founded in 1924. During that time, 27 forward-thinking, very vibrant ladies dedicated for serving human beings inspired to found this organization in Manchester, Great Britain and Ireland with same determination, ambition. Ms. Trish Douglas, who picked up the baton as centenary president after 100 years of the organization. As they just celebrated their centennial year on 10th of January, Ms. Trish Douglas is visiting Bangladesh to see by herself the activities of Inner Wheel Bangladesh, and we're happy to welcome Ms. Trish Douglas on Frankly Speaking. Welcome on Frankly Speaking.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be invited.
It's our pleasure and great honor and privilege also that as a centenary president of International Inner Wheel, you are visiting Bangladesh and joining on Frankly Speaking. So I remember in 1918, I host during the then president of Inner Wheel, International Inner Wheel President Kapila Gupta.
Oh, of course, yes, Kapila.
Yeah. So after many years, it's also my great privilege again to see another international president of Inner Wheel. So first of all, let's begin with your journey with International Inner Wheel.
Oh, my goodness.
Where from did you start?
Well, the journey with Inner Wheel actually takes forever, one would suggest.
Okay.
I was just an ordinary club member, and I was asked to go on the district. Just like you've seen the girls, you've seen the district chairman. Well, I went on to the committee, and my passion at that time was overseas. All that we could do for people who were less fortunate than ourselves. And I took projects then. For 3 years, I chose different projects. And in fact, in Manchester, I'm going to have a wonderful friend called Olivia Giles as my inspirational speaker. Olivia actually was a solicitor in Edinburgh. And she contacted meningitis. And so her husband and her mum and her father had to take the decision to cut off her limbs. Can you just imagine? You know, waking up, you went into the hospital feeling absolutely not that well, but then you wake up and you've got no arms from your joints and no legs. Just horrendous. But you know, this girl is just amazing, because she has now got a limb centre in Africa making prosthesis for people in Africa, because they are making their joints with just wood and strapping them to maybe a part of the leg that they've lost.
Okay.
But Olivia, she is making them now. She's got a factory in Africa. And she's going to be the inspirational speaker that's coming to convention in Manchester. Her charity, if any of your viewers want to look for her online, is www.500miles. And they will be amazed at what this girl does.
Wow, that's a fantastic story. So it's been almost 3 decades, more than 3 decades you have been with International Inner Wheel. Now you are the global president. So what inspired you to take new projects, or how you are planning to celebrate and to make it magnificent centennial year in your presidency?
Well, first of all, when I was elected, it was an election, and I think people around the world felt that they wanted to have someone from the United Kingdom in their centennial year. Which was great, a great honour. It was not, I think about me, because I don't know that the rest of the world knew who I was, but I think they thought, oh, do you know what? In January 1924, when Margaret Golding was our very first Inner Wheel president.
She was one of the key founders.
She was the first president.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. She was a nurse. She was a woman of her time. She was a businesswoman. But we couldn't have started Inner Wheel without, of course, Rotary.
Okay.
It was not possible.
Oh, initially it was connected with the Rotarians, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Until over 12 years ago, when we took the decision in Istanbul, it was Catherine Refferberg, who was the International Inner Wheel president at that time. There was a proposal put forward to ask the members to let like-minded women
Okay.
join our great organisation. And that has been great. India, I might tell you, has just blossomed.
Okay.
53,000 members they've
After
got.
removing the barriers.
My goodness me. That's just an amazing thing. And the work that these girls are doing is absolutely fantastic. The help that they're doing in the community. I mean, 2 days ago,
Okay.
I was at a school for children, 35 children, who were deaf.
Oh, okay.
Now, can you imagine being a little girl, a little boy who can't hear anything? It must be absolutely awful. But they have got a wonderful brand new school that Inner Wheel and the YMCA have actually founded. And they've got everything that they need. And it was wonderful to see. I danced with them
Okay.
because they teach it mimes. You know, this is thank you.
Okay.
And this is hello.
Okay.
And it was great. So we had the dancing, and I did not volunteer for the taekwondo.
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't that fit. But, you know, you come away with a feeling of absolute gratitude that we have got these marvellous women
Okay.
who go out and do wonderful things.
Okay.
And not for themselves, but for the rest of the community.
But what impressed you in your visit to Bangladesh?
Well, I arrived this morning.
Okay.
And already I am well impressed. Now, I went to the Monument of Your Heroes.
Okay.
You know, you had that dreadful 1971
Yes, yeah.
where lots of young men...
Oh, you placed floral leads there?
I did.
Okay.
And, you know, and I wrote in the book, and I thought that was one of the nicest, humblest thing I think I've done. And that was absolutely fantastic. Now, it was the passport director who actually invited me on the 2nd of July. And, of course, I've been to other countries before I've come to Bangladesh. But the monument, I just thought, it's so peaceful, the garden is beautiful, it's completely well kept, and it has a feeling of spirituality.
Okay. Have you visited any projects so far?
I have been to the local hospital.
Okay.
The one that I think you...
Sania Mission?
That's the very one. And Inner Wheel have put in there some baby cots that stand by the mums
Okay.
when they've had their baby. Also incubators. And that took...
You mean the Inner Wheel, Bangladesh?
Yes, District 345.
Okay.
And that took me back to when I had my son. I'd had a really bad car accident, my husband and I, when I was expecting James, my eldest child. And for the next 6 months, it was kind of hairy whether or not I would carry this baby.
Oh, okay.
I did, fortunately, but he was premature.
Okay.
And he was put straight away into an incubator because he had collapsed lungs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Catholic girl. He was baptized by the priest, and my son survived. And how wonderful it was to go into this hospital and see the equipment that Inner Wheel have bought from District 345 under my banner
Okay.
of Shine a Light.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely amazing. Stethoscopes for the doctors, and also they've got the wherefore to put the fluid through cancer patients.
Okay.
And we've got a recovering district chairman
Okay.
who actually had cancer
Oh, okay.
and is now in full recovery thanks to the hospital.
Okay. So what else do you want them to accomplish during your centennial year?
Well, to be honest with you, I could see that maybe the hospital could do with quite a few things. And I said to the girls, but this is absolutely great, because when I was in Sri Lanka,
Okay.
I went to a hospital there, and it was a unit for mothers and babies. The mother had depression. It's amazing how many women suffer from postnatal depression.
Okay.
And
So it's related to mental health.
related to my Wellness Brightens Lives,
Oh, okay.
one of my projects.
Miss, you were sharing some of the insights about the projects like Wellbeing Brightens Lives.
Indeed.
And I heard many other key projects you have in your mind, which you want the global clubs around the world must accomplish during your tenure in the centennial year. So would you please shed some light about that project?
Absolutely. Well, Wellness Brightens Lives can take many forms.
Okay.
I mean, me personally, I have a niece who suffers from anorexia. Now, Emma had her anorexia when she was 14. She's now 52, but she's always had this love-hate relationship with food. And since the pandemic, it has affected some young men, some boys and girls, certainly in the United Kingdom. I don't know how it has affected Bangladesh, but certainly anorexia in the United Kingdom has shot up.
Oh, really? Oh.
And I am sponsoring, and I think I'm the first international Inner Wheel president that has ever taken on a charity. They generally don't. And my charity is BEAT, B-E-A-T, BEAT Eating Disorders. Again, you can find that on the website. And it is an organisation that talks people through their eating problems. Of course, it deals with depression, and that is also a curse. And I have got to say that...
Frankly, my youngest niece has the eating disorders.
Oh, she's got anorexia.
Yeah.
Well, you know, really, it is a really dreadful, awful thing because it absolutely attacks every organ in their body. Mm-hmm. And our association president and a very close friend of mine, both their granddaughters suffered from it. Now, with Zena, in fact, her granddaughter had to go into hospital.
Okay.
She was 5 stone in weight.
Okay.
That can hardly sustain her life. Fortunately, after 3 months, this program, you go in for 3 months, but if you leave the program,
mm-hmm.
you can't go back.
Absolutely.
It's like having a drink addiction.
Yeah.
You know, like alcoholics. They go on a program, but once they leave the program, they can't go back onto it.
Absolutely.
But fortunately, Evie did stay with the program. She's now a tree surgeon, and she lives in Canada. But unfortunately, anorexia stays with you for life.
Yeah.
Because any upset in the lifestyle, any sort of thing that's going on in your life,
okay.
it can certainly kick in again.
What are the other areas you want to focus
on Wellness Brightens Lives?
Yep, yeah.
I would like actually...
Like mental health, you mentioned about mental health.
Mental health is a really awful thing. I was in the hospital in Sri Lanka where we went to a baby unit, a mother and baby unit, and they had very little in the baby unit,
okay.
I've got to be fair. And it was really clean, it was lovely,
mm-hmm.
but the women were just wandering around. There wasn't enough books for them. There was certainly no play area for the children, because when she had the baby, if she had another child, mm-hmm. the child went into hospital with
okay.
her. So the girls in Sri Lanka, in that particular district, they have repainted the room mm-hmm. in the hospital. They have put in playthings for the children. They have totally transformed that area for these women with postnatal depression. And that is a dreadful thing.
Okay.
But all around the world, you can find things that, you know, you can help other people with. It might just be ringing a friend and saying, look, I know you're actually not that well
yeah.
today, but why don't we have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee?
But collectively, how can you stand by with the people in need, especially fighting with mental depression or mental disorders? Is there any financial support, or is there any foundation by which you can support and extend your...
You've totally actually hit the nail on the head, because my vision this year in Manchester, we've got to vote. The girls around the world have got to vote for a foundation. Mm-hmm. We don't have a foundation.
Okay.
Rotary have a foundation. We do not. It is absolutely essential that we have a foundation, that we can help the world, that we can go into
They contribute in eliminating polio.
Well, they did polio. And I would like to think that they, well, again, let me tell you about Sri Lanka. They were injecting girls against cervical cancer later in life. but they couldn't do all of them because they didn't have the money.
Okay.
And now really Sri Lanka is quite a poor country. India, one of the clubs there, has just given the injection to 100 girls because it was 100 jabs for the centenary being 100 years old.
Okay.
But really, the United Kingdom does it. But they can afford to do it. What I would like to do is do it round the world.
Okay.
Absolutely. Girls cannot, in later life, suffer from ovarian cancer.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Rotary are doing womb cancer.
Right.
I'm afraid we should be doing that.
Okay. So how you are planning to form a foundation by which you can support
Absolutely.
the challenges the women folks are facing right now?
Well, International Inner Wheel actually is a wealthy organisation.
Okay.
And it is my intention to put a great deal of money in the pot for the foundation. Now, that does not mean that the executive, of which there's 5 on the executive, that they will deal with that they will be the angels of the foundation. They will not.
Okay.
They will be 4 trustees looking after absolutely themselves.
Okay.
And the money that they want. Now, when it was the pandemic, I was on the COVID-19 committee, but we asked our members...
You suffered from COVID-19? Did you?
I was on the committee for that.
No. Did you suffer from COVID-19?
Never.
Oh, okay.
Touch wood.
Oh,
I've never had it. But I was on the committee, and what did we say to our members before we could do anything? Give us some money.
Okay.
If we had a foundation, we could have done that. Absolutely.
I mean,
definitely.
If you can take the initiative effectively, a lot of people out there to contribute with enough resources. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, with some of the money, we helped Haiti. Not with the injections, but with 2 fridges. Because if you remember, AstraZeneca, you had to have a fridge.
Yeah.
The hospital, the Albert Schweitzer Hospital in Haiti, didn't have any fridges. So we bought them.
Okay.
And
yes, yeah.
Sorry.
President, let us just come back to the scenario in Bangladesh. You know, Bangladesh is a densely populated country, 170 million people around, and women folks are the large section of the population. So, I mean, how you see the ways the women folks can be empowered more? You know the challenges of a developing nations like Bangladesh. You have seen the conditions in India. So, in your global experience, how you see the women folks can come forward, can be empowered? What are the means? What are the tools? What are the advocacy support from?
Well,
for them?
in Africa, for instance, we've actually provided sewing machines, and so that the women actually can make clothes and they sell them. But you know, if you think about Bangladesh, I had no idea until I came. You had 170 million people in Bangladesh. That is absolutely huge.
Huge, profoundly huge.
Profoundly, my goodness, huge.
And it's relatively very small country.
And you go out and you see the infrastructure that your government is trying to put in. But I would also say, why isn't your government maybe building some houses? It's great to have a road, but maybe at some point they could think about housing. I mean, I don't know how your social system works here, but I think sometimes you've got to look at what's needed, and I'm sure you do need a road.
Yeah.
It's huge out there, but it looks as though it's going to take a little time to actually fulfill that wish. But you've got people at the side of the road who are actually living in things that are not really, well, they're not worthy to be living in, are they?
Yes, yeah.
But it's thinking about housing. Now, we can't obviously do housing in International Inner Wheel, but we can empower the women by giving them the wherewithal to be able to maybe do the sewing machine and actually buy
for
the
their
cloth.
economic freedom, for economic
Absolutely.
yes, yeah.
So that they actually are economically free.
Yeah,
because I don't know what the population...
Because the child marriage, gender-based violence is very prominent and very alarmingly high in Bangladesh.
Right.
Yeah, so International Inner Wheel can also support in these areas.
We certainly can, and I know that the girls on the ground in 3, 4, 5, they will help, and I think it's up to your listeners if they've got a project that they needed funding, and District 3, 4, 5 can actually do that. Then please get in touch.
Okay, get in touch with the international chapter.
Absolutely, we've got you've got a district chairman here.
Okay.
You know who she is. You've interviewed her,
Okay.
and I think it's well worth saying to the listeners,
Okay.
if you've got a project that you would like us to look at and maybe help with, because in India they're doing 100 for 100, like 100 pair of shoes for 100,
Oh, okay.
100 bicycles for 100.
That's a fantastic idea.
Isn't it just?
Yes,
Just
yeah.
using the logo of 100.
Okay. I'd be interested to know about, after 100 years as a president, I mean, how do you see the progress you have made so far? And where is the room for improvement in the coming days?
Oh, gosh, well, if you think about 1924, and we had one little club, and then it's, 100 years later, we're one of the biggest women's organisation in the world, with 105,000 members, and we're in 100 countries. So we have absolutely grown everywhere. And it is absolutely amazing that we have done so. From little acorns, we've got these big oak trees now. And that is the great thing about Inner Wheel. The things that we can do, not internationally, but that is obviously keen to happen, but also in the clubs themselves. If you take the district 3, 4, 5 here, they've got all their own clubs within the district who are doing their own little projects. And the hospital one, they came together as a district and they did this huge promotion for the hospital. I'm thinking, we've got non-districted clubs that don't have a district at all. They're just standalone Inner Wheel clubs. And we've got 70 of those. Now, some of those struggle. And we've talked about foundation, but if we had a foundation and these clubs are struggling, International Inner Wheel can actually pay the subs. Do you know how little it is to pay your subs to International Inner Wheel?
Yep.
£3.50. £3.50, that's all it is. The capitation fee is all that we ask. But if you're maybe a farmer in Uganda and you've got crops in the back field that have failed because there's been no water, your wife wants to go to the local Inner Wheel club and she says, oh, by the way, the subs are due, and could I have my money for my meal? He's quite rightly going to say, to be fair, I can't, because we haven't got any money. But we can step in, and those are the little projects that I feel that we should be doing and will do if we have the foundation.
Supporting people in need.
Absolutely.
Their need.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you don't have to go very far from your own doorstep to realise out there the need that you've got here in Bangladesh.
Okay.
The need is great. And we can do a little bit, obviously, in Inner Wheel clubs and distress, but we can do so much more if you had a foundation to do it with.
What is your expectation from Inner Wheel Bangladesh? Where you want to see it to
Well,
grow?
I have actually just planted a tree today, which was a lovely experience, but I would like to think that that tree symbolises the growth of Inner Wheel here in Bangladesh, because you can grow even bigger. You can have more clubs. And I'm hoping that, when this interview goes out, you will have people wanting to join Inner Wheel. There are no bars of joining Inner Wheel now. You can.
Okay.
It's open.
As a president, you have visited many countries. You just visited India, Delhi. You're from Delhi. And now visiting Bangladesh, Dhaka, visiting different projects. So what is the key message you want to extend to the members, Inner Wheel Club members, and as a whole, a general message to the people as a global president?
Well, my theme this year is Shine a Light. Last year, it was Work Wonders, and last year's International Inner Wheel president was called Zeni. and she was from the Philippines, absolutely delightful girl.
Okay.
And she did work wonders. But I feel very strongly it's fine working wonders, and we do, but we need to shine a light on the work that we do.
Okay.
Because to be honest with you, if you go out into the street and mention Inner Wheel, people go, I've never heard of it. How can you not be heard when we've got 100,000 plus members and in 100 countries? So we've got to get the light, shine a light on all that we do. And it's great to see in the hospital that they've got my logo this year, Shine a Light. And that is what, it's like branding, isn't it? Shine a light on everything that you're doing here in Bangladesh. And if you ask the district, they will tell you exactly what they're doing, and it's a lot.
Okay. And any specific plan to intensify the memberships of the Inner Wheel clubs?
Do you know, in Europe, the old clubs, in Great Britain and Ireland, we used to have about 46,000. We have got nowhere near that now because all the clubs are old. We've got 29 districts. India has got 27 districts. They're catching up really fast.
Okay.
But that's great because, you know, there's got to be a balance. We've had our day. It would be great if we could attract young members into our clubs. But you know what? Some people don't want to join clubs, do they? Youth of today, they're busy going to the gym, or both of them are working, and they don't actually want to join any organisation. But there's great hope for here, like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India. In Asia, you are growing, and that is marvellous. Europe, not so much. We're not. And nor is and in America.
Okay.
Very few clubs in America, Australia and New Zealand.
Why the lack of interest there?
Pardon?
Why this lack of interest in America and Australia?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I actually can't answer you that. I really don't know the answer. And it's not for the want of trying to recruit, because we try that all the time. But you ask a busy person to join a club and they will. Mm-hmm. But somebody might say, oh, I can't be bothered. You know, when I say, well, for goodness sake, I was the wife of the minister, I ran a youth club, I'm a hotelier, I did a Sunday school, I did a women's guild, and I went to Inner Wheel. Don't tell me you haven't got time to join a club.
That's phenomenal, but I'm curious to know, how do you balance with Inner Wheel leadership, your career and your family?
Well, fortunately, my son James lives in New Zealand with his wife Andrea. They don't have any children. Daniel has 4 children, and he lives in Broughty Ferry, which is very near to me in Montrose in Scotland, where I live.
Okay.
I'm a widow, so and I've got this marvellous girl called Tracy who runs my hotel. She does everything, and I am so grateful to her.
Oh, your hotel in Montrose?
It's in Montrose.
Okay.
The George.
Okay.
So if you ever come into Scotland, look me up at the George Hotel,
Okay.
George Street in Montrose.
Okay.
But, you know, this is the interaction with people, isn't it? I am able to give my all this year to International Inner Wheel because I have got a bedrock there.
Okay.
And if I didn't have that bedrock, I certainly couldn't do what I'm doing.
We are just almost at the end of our conversation. Just out of my curiosity, you not only the international president of the Inner Wheel, I heard that you worked with Chernobyl Children Lifeline, you worked with many other organizations, and also actively involved with Parkinson's research.
Yes.
So would you
My
please
late husband
share?
had
Yes,
Parkinson's.
yeah. Okay.
I've been unfortunate because I was quite young when my first husband died.
Okay.
And that was a direct result of Chernobyl and the acid rain going over the Lake District. And then I knew about Chernobyl Children's Lifeline by going to an Inner Wheel meeting, and they were looking for people to take children in twice a year.
Okay.
And I went to my husband, Ian. I was married again at that time.
Okay.
And I said, I'd love to do that. And we did it for 14 years. Okay. But Ian, unfortunately, when we came out of ministry, when he was 67, he had Parkinson's at 70.
Oh, that's sad.
But what I did was, for research, Inner Wheel, in GB&I, in Great Britain and Ireland, raised £190,000 in 1 year
Oh, that's
for
big.
Parkinson's UK for research. into a very, very debilitating
Okay.
condition.
So you have been actively involved with so many, the important charitable work
Yes.
in your career,
Yes,
in your
I have.
lifetime. So thank you very much for joining me on Frankly Speaking and sharing your experience, your
Thank you.
precious and resourceful experience. And I'm very privileged to listen all those things, all those experience from you.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed the conversation. And half an hour's gone, and it seemed like moments. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Trish Douglas. That was my conversation with International Inner Wheel President Trish Douglas. She has dedicated her life towards the different good works, charitable works around the world, and now she is leading a big organization. And we hope that Bangladeshi Inner Wheel also taking lesson or taking experience from the global community of International Inner Wheel will work for the good of the women folks in our country in different challenges, and they will stand by to overcome all those challenges ranging from economy to social to all other difficult challenges in their lives. So thank you very much for watching this show. We invite you to watch our next episode. Until then, to take care and goodbye.